right, so this is something layout should look similar to. Your guys' system where you're from might look a little different, but I mark out my partitions and then a note of what to do here. So I want a stud, and then 2x6 down and up. The up one is to catch my wall sheeting, the down one is for the partition, and that should give me some stud past the partition lines, right? That's my drywall backing for the interior side. When I found in the center of my door first is what I did, and then I cut the plate there right at center of the door, and I did that to reduce one move, because then I just know that that's center line and that's the center of my door, and I could come back to it later. So I marked that out once I got my 2 lengths cut to finish the wall, right? And the other reason you want to break in between, if you can, in the middle of the doorways is because you know that you're going to cut the plate out there anyways to accommodate the door, and that way you'll have less seams in your wall. So that's why we choose to do that. But it's also reducing a move for your layout, because if I find center a door and cut it there, then I just know that that's the center of my door. And I also know I'm cutting the plate there. And let's say I had a seam right here, and then I was cutting the door out right here, then I would have a little chunk of plate left, and that's not very good, right? So again, if you can, you break your plate in the middle of a doorway, because you know you're cutting it out anyways. Right, and then you can see other partitions. And on this one, I don't need any backing up. And then see how I'm in between 2 objects? I'll leave the open side of my backer towards where I have more room to get my hand back there. Like over here, it'd be just a tiny bit closer. Right, so that's layout. You can see that this is either a door or a window. Trimmer king. It's actually a door, it's a fire door. And when I do a fire door, I add 2 1/4 to my door size. So this is a 3/0 door. So I went 38 1/4 for my width. And I did that because on fire doors, in my experience, a lot of times they have longer screws that stick out of the hardware on the jam side. And then so for me, they're catching when my framing is just a little bit too tight. So if I give it that extra quarter, then I don't have to fight the door to get it in there. And I guess there's other ways that you could take care of it. You could grind off the ends of the screws, etc., but I can just do it at framing super easy. I just add a quarter to my header, right? Add a quarter to my width, I'm fine. And then I also go a 1/2 inch taller than the rest of my exterior doors. And if I have to, I can just fill it in. But again, I've ran into a couple of the fire doors that were actually taller than normal doors. And it was just barely, but it was enough to where I couldn't get the door in there. So for me, it's easier if for any reason I need to fill it in, I can just add a piece of sheeting to fill it in if the gap's too big. So that's what your wall should look something like. And I pulled my layout all the way from that corner, because on my plans it tells me to pull layout from there this way and there this way. So I just figured it out where I'm supposed to start over here. So layout would have landed on exactly 8 feet. So I came over here and I burned 8 feet right here. And then I pulled over to my first layout, back 3/4 of an inch. For me, that just keeps everything looking super clean all the way through the house. All my framing will stack that way. So if there's a stud behind me here, there'll be one directly across from it. And that's for everything in the house. More important is I know my trusses and my floor system for the second story are going this way. So you want these walls to be the same for sure, because that way all your points that are being carried follow all the way through. Same, side, same, top and bottom, same. And then the same thing with the second story, right? All my framing is going to stack on there. So that way all the pressure points and load points for the house are down to the same spots under. So, and then here, everything that's not a door or a window, I'm going to crown to the right. And then my king and my trimmer crown this side to the right, looking at my wall. And then this side to the left. That way I can just grab that, throw it on there, nail it together. And then these are all my header pieces, but there's one extra piece right here. So I'm going to take, and again, that's because I raise up my fire doors by a 1/2 inch. That's just so I don't ever have to fight anything. So those are my header pieces pre-cut. Those are my trimmer king. You can see an example of a header that's put together right here. Right, this one has both pieces of the 1/2 inch. The other one I'm raising up a 1/2 inch, so I took one of those out. But this is just squash. And then we pull down from there. So if this is a window, which I'm pretty sure this one was a window, from here, we'll pull down whatever it is. Say it's a 6050, which, yeah, I wrote it there earlier. So 6050. So I pull down 5 feet from here. Bam. And I'll make a mark plus 1.5 inches. Bam. And that represents my sill. And then from there, I'll measure from there up to that, and that'll be my short point. And I say that's my short point because we cut a 2-degree angle on all of our cripplers for our windows and stuff like that. And we tilt them to where the tilt is going down and out. And that way, you know, the absolute worst case scenario happens at your house and water somehow gets in behind your window, which it shouldn't. But if it does, the last ditch effort to get it outside of your house is to hit the sill and roll out. So we do 2 degrees out. So this is partially put together. My guy left early today. He had to go take care of his teeth, so he went and did that. And I just thought it'd be a good time to show a video. Again, this is what we call a transom. I don't know, maybe other people's definition of transom is different than mine, but for me, a transom is where you have multiple objects in a trimmer pack or opening, exterior opening, but you run your header the full length of all those objects, and then you do your trimmer infill from there. So like right here I have a doorway, and then to the side of those doorways, well, right here I got a doorway, and again, you see I broke in the middle of the door where I knew we were going to cut it out, right? So then that way it's one whole plate, makes your wall a little bit stronger, right? So I have a 1/6 window here, and then whatever door here, I don't have notes on that, and then the same thing over here. Right there, 1/6 window here, right? So again, this is the middle, so I know I'm cutting it here and here. And then you only got one piece of plate. So there's a partial example of stuff put together. And verify how tall this is once you do all your squash that you're using on your job site, because your lumber can change a little bit. So like this lumber here seems to be coming out a little bit thicker than normal. So by the time I put 3 studs together, it's not really 4.5, it's like 4 3/4. So check that, because we had to come back and trim our trimmers, because normally, you know, 99% of the time we go 81 1/8, and everything fits perfect with exactly this, which is 2 pieces of 1/2 inch, a 3.5 by 7.5 glue lam beam, and 2 pieces of 2x6, and we always put one at the bottom, and then on the top of our header we put the 2 pieces of 1/2 inch, and then the other 2x6, and that's usually the perfect fill in order to fit your standard exterior door height of 82.5. You know, we might end up with 82 5/8, which is fine. And then when you have, so consider that, sorry, let me finish my thought there. Consider your height here, and if you catch that, it'll save you 15 minutes from having to go back and retrim everything. So maybe build one of your header packs first, and then check your height, and then get your trimmer height. But again, 90% of the time, 99% of the time, 81 1/8 is our standard trimmer heights. And then here, where I have a window right next to a door, I want the bottom of the top of my window trim to line up with the center of the top of the door jamb. So that way the siders don't have to notch any of the trim that goes over this, right? So what I'll do is, before I pull down here, this right here where my door is going is the right height that I want. And then what I'll do is from there, I'll put another piece of fill right here, 2x6 fill right there, bam. And then I'll pull my door or window height from that. And that usually drops me down the perfect amount for the bottom of my trim, for the top of my windows to float right that center of the top of the door jamb line, for perfect trim. So that's another thing to consider when you're building, again, what we call a transom. Maybe in your area that's a faulty term, but that's what we call it. And if you hear me say something weird, that's just probably what we call it where we're from. And it's okay. You can call your stuff something totally different. And as long as we're building on the same principles, we're fine. So that's what it looks like. So I'm stocked out here. I got my air going. I'm about to throw my tool bags back on. I just got back from dropping him off at his car to go to the dentist. So I'm going to try to jam as much of this as I can in the next few minutes, and I'll see if I can get it on film. And eventually I'll get a real camera and I'll try to show more of what we do in real time. You know, because there's more than just knowing the math or this or that or the other. You got to see body movements and this and that in order to improve and perfect your craft, right? And be more efficient and make more money. And I still, to this day, I see stuff and I'm like, I like that, and I'm gonna try it, and then I'll try it, and then I'll either keep it or reject it, you know? So it's a ever evolving and growing and learning situation in order to progress in your craft. And you know, if you take it serious, you can get to the point where you can become a business owner. And that's what we are. We're Big Bad Builder LLC. You know, we got a big attitude for what we do, and we take pride in our work. And it's only a couple of us, and we're still getting it. So anyways, I'm gonna put this down. I probably won't be able to talk to you. If you got questions or whatever, you can leave them in the comments, and I'll try in future videos to explain what I'm doing when I'm doing that. So anyways, thanks for watching, and here we go. Last thing, wear your eye protection. you All right, so there we go. We have one wall built and mostly sheeted. I want good sized chunks to cap these ends off. And down here it looks funny, but I gotta cut that door plate out anyways. And in order to keep this from spreading or flexing on me, I want to be able to nail a block right here across about 2 feet, 1 foot to each side. And that just helps us when we stand it. And then since I got to cut that anyways, I cut the plywood at the right height. So that way, all we got to do is cut the plate out later. Nail every single stick of lumber you got in your wall. Right? Like 6 and 12, that's how I nail. That's like 5 and 5 down the trimmers and the kings. Right? And then look for high nails. Like right there, I got a high nail. Right? And then you could see I was going back a little bit and re-nailing a couple spots because I either felt a miss or my nail, like right here, those are just deep. So I added more nails. And then normally I'll snap a bottom line. I'm confident in nailing. Sometimes laborers miss a lot, so if they're doing a wall, I have them snap a line so they can see exactly where it goes. It's better that than pulling a whole ton of nails when you're like finally making some progress and then you got to go backwards over something stupid. And then also, you seen while I was building the wall, once I had my plate on, I checked the bottom for nails. And then I checked the top for nails and I slammed those in. This is missing the double top plate, but I ran 3/4 of an inch long. And then all I use is a scrap from one of our cutouts of the 3/4 inch ply. And then I know I got 3/4 inch overlap. That's what's easiest for me instead of pulling my tape out or trying to make marks or anything. Flush. Easy. Right? And then making sure I leave an 1/8 gap. If you look at the true dimensions of plywood, I think they're actually like 3, they're like an 1/8 short or a 1/4 short of actual 4 foot by 8 foot. That's what I'm trying to say. And they do that because they're counting for a 1/16 gap on each sheet, which equals an edge, an 1/8 on each side. And that's for swell. So anyways, that's how you build a wall. If I wanted to right now, I could get this wall up by myself. What I would use is wall jacks, which I have. It's similar to a pump jack scaffolding system. And you nail a block down to the floor, and then you put the jack on a 2x4, and you can run it up. And I could totally get this wall up by myself if I wanted to. Instead, I'm gonna keep framing on this. And then first thing in the morning when we get here, we can just stand this, build that, sheet them both, stand, and then we can work on these other 2 walls. Anyways, that's where we're at right now, and hopefully you guys enjoyed what you saw. On a good day, I could be a little bit faster, and I'm not claiming that I'm the fastest ever, because I'm not that fast. I go for cleanliness over speed, and I'll either get faster or my laborers will get faster. But it's better to practice doing stuff the right way, and not causing yourself headache. You move too fast with new crews, or newer crews, which Aaron's been around for a long time, but we constantly have like a third guy coming in, trying people out. When you have new guys rotating in all the time, you got to really just drill the fundamentals and stick to the fundamentals, or you're going to be going backwards a lot. And that's no fun for anybody. Anyways, that's what a complete wall looks like right here. This is sheeted, obviously not 100% complete because I got to get it up and I got to get the top plate on. The reason I don't put it on is because I need to overlap that and it would catch right here. And I also need that over there. So I'm going to cap that all the way through. Both sides, because that side sticks out too, to go to the garage. And I'm going to run that double top plate out. And that's how I'm going to really lock everything in. It'll have a full 5.5 inch width you know, and I can run this in 3 sticks. So I could go 1 in the middle, 2 on each end, because I already got my splice in the middle right there. So probably do a 12-footer here in the middle and then cap it, and that'll be strong. Anyways, and then in the meantime, I'm gonna jump on this wall, which he's got, you know, quite a bit of it framed. So I'll just continue going with that, and I'll finish out my day doing that. And then we'll rock that first thing in the morning. Thanks for watching.